My name is Derval Carroll and I'm a visual artist, a painter, but I also dabble in printmaking, some sculptural work, digital art and augmented reality art. Well, I never studied art in school. I finished school in the late 80s and there was massive unemployment at that time. So really the priority was studying something that will get you a job. So I went to UL and I studied business and worked in business for almost 25 years. And at one stage when I was working in the Middle East, I lived there for 4 years, and I started taking night classes in painting and just absolutely loved it. And I suppose my passion from art grew from there. So when I moved to Limerick, I went to the Limerick College of Further Education and I did a portfolio course. And it still wasn't enough for me, so I wanted to keep going with it. So I went to the Limerick School of Art and Design to do a degree in fine art painting, which I graduated from last summer. I would have loved art as a child, but then when it came to picking subjects for the Leaving Cert, I suppose my parents were advising me from a practical point of view rather than a lifestyle point of view. So, they were kind of saying, and some things don't change. It's still very difficult to make a career from being an artist. So in those days, they just said, look, do something that you'll be able to get a job with, that, you'll be able to have a career you can earn a living from. So that's what I did. I loved my time in the Limerick School of Art and Design, and in the painting department in particular, I found that there was great flexibility with what we did. So while I was specialising in paint, they were really encouraging about trying all kinds of different things. So I kind of integrated screenprinting in some of my work. I did projection mapping, I did sculptural work, I did a lot of work with digital art, and I like to merge all of those things. So if I create a painting, I then might kind of manipulate that to create an augmented reality art piece from that painting, or create videos using different manipulation techniques so that the painting becomes just one element of an overall body of work, and that it can spread out into so many different areas. So I love that, and LSAD, it just really opened my eyes to all of those different possibilities. So this painting is very different from the work that I have done before. A lot of my previous work would have been very geometric, hard-edged painting and more abstract than this. But this one was very much, it was painted during the pandemic and was very much influenced by it. So during the lockdowns, I decided to use painting almost as a form of meditation. So I didn't, when I started this painting, I had no plan in mind. I just wanted to paint and kind of lose myself in the process of painting. And so I just started with line and then added colour and lots of different layers and texture. And then eventually through the process of painting, I found that this kind of dreamlike landscape was just emerging. So I went with that, and I suppose because I was using painting as a way of calming myself down in a stressful situation, I think that also influenced the colours that I used in the piece. So there's lots of blues and greens, and so when I finished it, I kind of then looked back and said, it totally makes sense that it would emerge as this kind of dreamscape almost, because we were all in lockdown, we couldn't travel anywhere, we were all confined to home. And so this, I guess, was my way of kind of traveling outside of home in my own head and just through painting. So the piece has now been bought by the Bon Secours Hospital Art Collection, and so I'm delighted that it'll be seen by lots more people, and that hopefully it'll give them the same sense of calmness that I got from it. So in my more recent work, I've been looking at people like Robert Stone, Wendy Westlake, Chase Langford, but I have hundreds of different influences. Probably like most artists, I spend a lot of time looking at other art and other artists, and I like the fact that to try to build my own visual language, I can, maybe use different aspects of their practices. So I don't want to paint something that will look like somebody else's work, but I might be interested in the way Wendy Westlake uses transparency, or Chase Langford builds up texture in his work. And then I try to integrate those processes so that I can produce something that is uniquely mine. I like to work intuitively, and because I'm interested in abstraction, the thing that I like about abstraction is that it forces you to look at things in a different way. So you look at your subject in many different perspectives. You zoom in and you zoom out completely. You look at it from many different angles. You kind of dissect your subject and find the things that are key elements of that subject, and then you put them together in a new way. So in terms of my process, I do a lot of research, I do a lot of studies of different elements of what I'm trying to capture, and then I bring them all together through layering, and my initial marks will very often be completely painted over. But in some cases you can still see kind of some of the history of those marks in the painting. You can still see parts of the underpaintings or parts of the initial mark making. And I like the fact that the painting builds up that way, that through all of these different layers it adds to the texture, and it adds to the interest for me in a piece. So my latest project is based around the University of Limerick, where I studied many years ago, and it's also within 5 kilometres of my home. So I did a lot of walking there during the lockdowns, and I've always loved the campus, and the fact that they have both kind of cutting edge architecture there and the design of the buildings, but they've also been very considered in the development of the campus. So the protection of the natural landscape, and they've implemented a lot of initiatives to protect the biodiversity with beehives and an orchard that's using kind of heritage seeds to protect older species of trees around Ireland. And so my new project is trying to find a way to kind of capture the essence of the University of Limerick by merging those two things, merging the man-made, the built environment with the natural landscape in a series of abstract paintings. But I would also like to do some sculptural pieces and so on there as well. So yeah, I see a lot of potential with that.